Crypto Caesar Capital. Hope you're well. It's the 20th of September 2025. And we're going to do a quick video today. We're going to have a look at Bitcoin and the altcoin market. It's going to be a fairly short one, I think. But I think what we need to hammer home this particular video is this. A lot of people are saying really silly things like, Bitcoin, there's never going to be a Bitcoin bear market again. Bitcoin is just going to keep continuing to grind slowly to the upside, and there'll be short sell-offs, and it'll continue to grind. That's just absolute nonsense. Every asset on the planet oscillates in bull markets and bear markets. It oscillates in uptrends and downtrends. There isn't an asset on the planet that doesn't do it. And therefore, in my view, Bitcoin will continue to oscillate in cycles of uptrends and cycles of downtrends. Now, whether Bitcoin continues to follow the 4-year cycle is a different matter, but it will continue to oscillate in uptrends and downtrends. The idea that Bitcoin won't suffer a bear market again is just nonsense, in my view. The other thing we've got to remember as well is this. A lot of people are saying, oh, this is just the beginning of the cycle. This is just the beginning of the cycle. Again, you know, if you look at the actual facts and the data, that proposition is also nonsense. I mean, you just have to look at the SPX, for example. So the S&P 500, in November 2022, the SPX was 3489. It's now 6609. Yeah. The NASDAQ in November 2022 was at 10463. It's at now 24282. Bitcoin in November 2022 was at $15,689. At the moment, it's around $116,000. So, you know, it's quite obvious that we're not at the beginning of a cycle. And I also don't think we are mid-cycle. It's quite obvious, in my view, that we are probably coming towards the end of a cycle. Now, it's quite possible that this cycle could extend into Q1. That I accept. There is the possibility, and I think it's a fairly low chance, that it could go sort of deep into Q1, so February, March time. That's possible, but I think it's unlikely. But, you know, I'm just going to have to look at the data as we continue to move forward in time. But as I said in my last video, and, you know, I've made it quite clear on Twitter or X and the other social media platforms, my view is I think the peak will probably come in December of 2025, but we could push into January, February, March. That's possible. Okay, I'm going to be open to that, but I don't think we go any further than that. I mean, even Michael Howell, the Gandalf of liquidity, is now saying, you know, and as we know, Bitcoin is driven by liquidity. Even he is saying we've got 6 months tops left, which takes us February, March, you know, and that is the absolute max that that he thinks this cycle will go. So, you know, my position is I think we peak in Q4. I could be wrong. It could extend into Q1, but we'll see where we go when we get there. Now, in relation to the current position with regard to Bitcoin, we're now at the 20th of September. So we've got, you know, another 11 days or whatever it is until we move into October. Q4, as we know, quarter four, financial quarter four in America, which is October, November, December, is the best performing quarter 100% of the time. Q1 is in fact the second best performing quarter 100% of the time, although on average that is, although the last Q1 we had, as you can see, was the worst Q1 that we've had for Bitcoin in a long time, particularly in a bull market. It's the worst Q1 in a bull market ever in history of Bitcoin. But the long and short of it is that the average return in Q1 is 51%, and the median return is minus 0.146%. So there is this possibility we do push into Q1. But more importantly, we need to look at Q4. Q4 is the best performing quarter 100% of the time. When we're in a bull market, Q4 is just really, really good. And my view is that we are still in a bull market. There are no signs, in my view, that this market has topped out. So as I said in my last video, and my video before, I'm not willing to bet against Q4. I think that it is worth holding positions now through into Q4. I think the risk reward is good. And my view is I will remain in position now through Q4 to see where we are when we start getting towards the end. Now, looking at monthly returns, what we also know is that October, out of Q4, November is the best performing quarter on an average basis, 46% return. October, 21% return. For a median basis, it's the same with October, 21% as the average. And in November, it's slightly less on a medium at 10%. But as I said, the bottom line is October and November are the best performing months, with November being the better performing month. So I'm interested to see how Bitcoin now performs in Q4, particularly those first 2 months, October and November. I would expect to see quite a grind up. Now, we performed the exercise in the last video, or maybe the video before, excuse me, that we looked at the average and median returns for Q4. The average return being 85%, the median return being 52%. We looked at that on the Bitcoin chart, and we took a conservative approach to it. We looked at it on the basis that Bitcoin would finish the Q3 or September. It would finish at the bottom of this channel at 112,000. Now, we're well above that at the moment, 115,000. A lot can happen, obviously, in 10, 11 days in crypto. But we performed the exercise on the average and median return of it being at the bottom of the channel, which I think is more of a conservative and better viewpoint. Now, if Bitcoin performs on the median return of 53% or so, that would take Bitcoin to 171,000 or thereabouts. If it performed on the average Q4 basis, then it would be pushing up to 208K, which we know when looking at this channel that Bitcoin has carved out since 2017, that would be at the close to the top of this channel, and the median return would be at the golden ratio 1618 Fibonacci. So both of them are, in my view, quite logistical targets really for Bitcoin, and I think that that there is the real possibility that either one or both of them are met. But we shall see. But for those who say, and I dealt with this in the last video, oh, there's not enough time for Bitcoin to move this much. There's not enough time for altcoins to move. We'll come on to the altcoins in a minute. But with Bitcoin, I mean, if you look closely at the moves of Bitcoin, just this cycle alone, okay? Just this cycle, not last cycle or cycle before that, just this cycle. We can see the sort of the way that Bitcoin moves and how sort of violent those moves are to the upside. So, for example, this was the low back in November 2022. And once it established that low, it made a really nice, sort of fairly brutal and quick move to the upside from about 15.5 up to 30K, almost doubled in price from the low. In fact, we need to take that down there. So that was a 98.36% move, around almost 100% move. That was just one move from the low. Now, of course, the first move from the low can be pretty violent because, of course, sellers are now at this point completely capitulated. There are no sellers left. There are only buyers on the table. So it's normal for there to be quite a fast and, aggressive move to the upside. It then consolidated for quite a considerable amount of time through the summer period, and then it made its move from 25K, and it pushed then up to about 73K. Now that was 190% move to the upside. So a really big move. So we got a move of 98%, then another move of 190%. Then once Bitcoin had established that high at 73K in March of 24, it then had this huge period of consolidation all the way basically through the late spring, summer, until we got to around about August time, where it established a low, continued to consolidate for a while, and then it started to really push in October, obviously, quarter 4. Then there was this move. So the established low was 48K. Then it made this move to 108,000, which was 122% move. So now we've got a 98% move, 190% move, 122% move. Then a long period again of consolidation through, sort of January down into April. And then there was the move to the upside, which created the new all-time high now of about 124K. So the low was 74 up to about 124. That was a 66% move. So we've got a 98% move, 190% move, 122% move, and a 66% move. All of them pretty decent moves, as you can imagine. So when it comes to, considering whether Bitcoin can now move either 53% or 85%, history tells us that that is absolutely possible. Okay, and the move to the upside might even be more violent than that. But I like to be conservative. I don't want to be too much of a moon boy. For me, I took, in the group, we took, pretty aggressive positions from about 19K all the way down to 15K or 15.8. So, we're well in profit. So a move to 171 is a profit-taking area. A move to 208 is another profit-taking area. But my point is this: for those who say it's impossible or very, very unlikely that Bitcoin can move 53% in a financial quarter, or 85% in a financial quarter, again, they're talking nonsense, because if you look at the history of Bitcoin, just this cycle alone, I mean, go back to the previous cycles, the moves are even more violent, but this cycle alone, we know from looking at these moves to the left that a move of 53% or a move of 85% is absolutely doable for Bitcoin. So it would not surprise me at all if Bitcoin was able to establish a move to 208,000 or thereabouts, or maybe higher. Okay, so that's my position now. I don't want to bet against Q4. I think Q4 is going to be most likely a good quarter for Bitcoin, and I think either of those targets could well be established, or we might push into Q1, as I say, and those targets established then. But my view is that the peak is likely to come in Q4. I could be absolutely wrong, and I'm always open to being wrong. You can't just have a bias and stick to the bias. You've got to be open to changing your view. But as it stands now, I think that either or both of these targets are absolutely doable in the financial quarter 4. Very quickly with Ethereum, I dealt with this in the last video. This is Ethereum BTC. This is an important chart. My view is I think Ethereum BTC gets up into this pink box area, anything between 0.08 or 0.1. We'll see, but Ethereum has got a huge tailwind now. It's got a Wall Street tailwind. It's got people like Tom Lee behind it. You've got treasury companies now stacking Ethereum. It's just consolidating here in this area of resistance, and my view is it'll start pushing towards this top end, certainly in financial quarter 4. As to final targets, I think that the target of 12K is absolutely doable for Ethereum, and that's probably where I would start taking profit. It's the 1618 golden ratio Fibonacci for that target. So I'd probably start taking profit around 11.5K or so. If it goes higher, it goes higher. But, again, we were taking positions down here in the sort of $1,200, $1,300 range. So absolutely, a move from there to up to close to 12K is a 10x. So that's more than enough for me. So there we are. That's it for the video. Please like and subscribe. Thank you very much for your support. If you want to join the VIP group, then the link is in the description for the website. Please reach out to us either on the website, via the website, or DM me directly on X, and we will get back to you. Thank you very much for listening, and I shall speak to you all soon. Take care. Bye-bye.